Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Saturday, January 29th, 2022, as we try to get you closer to kick off this weekend in the NFL the divisional championships. The appetizer, Joe Burrow, Smoking Joe, and Jamar Chase head into Chiefs land to tackle the two-time Super Bowl appearances. A coin flip away, by the way, from potentially being their fourth appearance. Face the Chiefs, Mahomes, Hill, Kels, Andy Reid and company. And then the main event, the 49ers look to make it 7 in a row against the Rams, 3-0 this year. Shanahan owns McVay as they travel to the Rams, where the Rams will look to be the second team in history to host a Super Bowl if they win on Sunday. Quick announcement. It is bad out there. It started snowing lightly early last night. Woke up a handful of times, and it's bad out there. I haven't even tried to get my cable back up. I'm not going out there. That's how bad it is, meaning to go shake off the dish. Still expecting anywhere locally for the Cape. We're right in that. We're right in the middle of 18 to 24 or, 24 to 3 feet. The winds are howling. I think we're going to be locked in for a few days here, but we will see. It's going to go through the morning, afternoon, and finish up sometime late this evening, and then we'll hope that everyone with plows can do their job. And I have no idea what this is going to bring, especially here on the Cape. They're really not equipped for stuff like this. Sure, 6 inches, maybe a foot, not a problem. But when you're talking 2 and 3 feet, it's not a good sign. So I wanted to get this show out there if the internet held up. To show my face, say everything's okay. We're going to survive, hopefully, God willing. And I want to bring Scotty in, obviously, so we can at least talk some football and at least get that out there. I'm going to go through the board as well in college hoops. Yesterday, if you joined the show early, you were blessed with 2 wins with Penn outright at Harvard. Air Force comes storming back for the cover. If you joined us mid to late, a lot of ugliness. I talked about the Alphabet team, IPFW, was dominating for 30 minutes, and they scored 2 points the last 11 minutes. I will repeat that. That's not a mistake. They scored 2 points the last 11 minutes. Ryder, wrong side right away. A couple games later, we had one game, Akron, plus the 8, 3 seconds left, down 9, 2 free throws, make the first, miss the second. Got the push, but there. And then Boise State holds off Fresno State. But that's basketball. One day you're the dog, you go 5-2, and the next day you're the fire hydrant, and you go 0-4-1. And it's just surviving events. It's adding and subtracting what's working, what's not working. A lot of times in this industry, especially this time of year, who do you got a good read on? Who don't you have a good read on? Square peg, round hole. You keep trying to force a couple teams or a couple games, and it ends up biting you in the you-know-what. So we're here. We're going to try to get the best education out there that we can today. And without further ado, let's bring them in from the sunny Palm Tree States where it's cold. 30-something or 40-something, but all is well. My man, Mr. Scott E. Webb.
Well, it's good to see you this morning, Jeff. I'm glad you didn't, you were talking there, and I'm like, ain't nobody going to be prepared for 2 feet of snow in one day. I mean, holy shit. Cape Cod can handle, you said, I can handle 6 to 12 inches, but 2 feet, 3 feet, I don't know. I'm like, well, who the hell's going to handle 2 or 3 feet of snow in a day? Maybe in Minnesota, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This isn't, one of these, 3-4 day events. This literally is coming in this morning and leaving at midnight, so it's dumping. They said at the height of it, it could be 3 to 4 inches an hour. And so no one can keep up with that. And, Governor Baker came on yesterday, made it clear, guys, no one on the roads, please. Let the people do their jobs. Everyone's bunkered in. Uh, as long as we keep the power, the internet, we're okay. It'll be okay. We can survive this. But once you get the power out, the internet, then you get stir crazy. Then it gets ugly.
That's when that's the time you put one of them, get one of them fire pits going inside the house.
So I set it up kind of nice. I figured what we need to do today is I need you to talk about the 2 football games. Don't know if we'll be able to get a show out tomorrow morning. If we do, we'll be able to come back and, rehash some of the stuff that you're seeing. Yesterday, South Point made a power move. They said enough's enough. They moved that number to 7.5 on Kansas City. Had a few people reach out today about that. And when, especially in a big game like this, they have options. They could stick Kansas City -7, -115, -120. I've even seen juice -125. But they had enough and they moved it to 7.5. Where again, as soon as they did that, someone came in and put 100,000 on the Bengals. That half point is big in the eyes of a pregame flop, but lots of times it doesn't even come into play. And the other game sitting right around 3.5. But the stage is yours if you want to dig in. You want to talk about either one, both, or whatever you'd like to do this morning.
Well, let's talk about the Chiefs game there because it's the first game, and in my opinion, it's the one that I've got the best read on. So there's a couple of things in play here, right? So the game opened. What was it? -7 and 51 was the total. 51 is a key number in totals. The next key number in totals is 55. And if you look at the number, it's 54, 54.5. It's not getting to 55. And I understand that, but I mean 55 is the next key number. So I bring that up because my numbers say it goes well over 55 points. Anyway, that being said, I can't find, as I've already done my analysis of the game, so I'm not going to change my opinion. But I do like to look at other people's opinion and other companies' opinions and surveys, and you just Google the game and type predictions behind it, and then you're going to get 75 different people up there. They're gonna show you what they think, and they all are picking the Bengals. They think that some of these Bengals are going to outright win the game. So, man, that's a leap of faith if you're going to do that. So let's just backtrack a little bit. Let's just start from the beginning and go, okay, so what do we have here? We have the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Kansas City Chiefs got off to what I would say is a slow start, right? They turned the ball over a lot. And at one time, I think they were like 2-5 or something, or 2-4 or something, something like that. And then now they're just rattling off wins like blah 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 blah, just like they did last year. And they're the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that they're not the best team in the AFC. I think they beat the best team in the AFC last week. I think they beat the Bills. So how did they do that? I think they got a little lucky in the sense of how that last drive worked out in those last 13 seconds. I was talking to a guy today that is a diehard Buffalo Bills fan. I mean, he wouldn't even talk to you about the game right after the game. And his thought was, he said, look, if they do that 100 more times, I guarantee you 99 times out of that 100, Buffalo's going to win the game. And that might be true because the Buffalo coaches learned so much about what they made the mistakes on. So now we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. And one of the things that you really want to look at in these games and teams is when a team drives the ball more than 65 yards. That means they've got pretty much dominance on that drive, and they're driving the ball. So they're the better team, and when they're doing that, and 65 yards is a good number to use, because you're putting yourself in positions to score points, and usually you're going to score a touchdown when you're doing that. So over the last 3 games, and I just went back 3 games. I don't need to go back farther than that. Everybody thinks that the Cincinnati Bengals are this great football team, and let's just break it down like this. Cincinnati has 6 drives in 3 games more than 65 yards. They've had 31 drives, so 6 out of 31 are for 65 yards or more. Comparison-wise to the Kansas City Chiefs, same 3 games, not necessarily the same 3 opponents, but same 3 games. 65 drives, yards or more, 12 times, double the amount. So 38% of the time, almost 40% of the time, they're driving down so if you think about it, that's almost half of the time that they have the ball. They're driving the ball 65 yards. So that then means, how many points are they scoring? Because they're holy cow. So if you go back 7 games, the Kansas City Chiefs are averaging 37.3 points per game in the last 7 games. They've scored under 30 points only 1 time in 7 games. They've scored over 40 points 3 times. So now you match that up to a team that gave up 9 sacks to a Tennessee team that's not known for sacking the quarterback. The Kansas City Chiefs can pressure the quarterback. Since week 8, they've been a very good defense, and that's when they moved the defensive end to the defensive tackle, and they brought in Ingram and a trade from Pittsburgh, and then they got one of their guys healthy again. They've been really, really good. So I tend to look at it like this. There's a definite dominance that the Chiefs are the better football team. And not only the better football team, they're double the better football team than what the Kansas City Chiefs are. And then secondly, if they get sacked 5 times, they don't have the offense to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's proven. It just shows right here that 6 out of 31 drives is not going to get it done against the team that does it 12 out of 31 times. So that means that the winning formula against Tennessee was Tennessee's not going to score many points. Well, now you got to go outscore the Chiefs. So you got to figure that out. The one thing that Cincinnati has that goes for them is good fortune. It's yes, I get it that you have a good quarterback, but so does the other team. And you remember we talked about it all this time about how, Joe Burrow from week 8 through whatever was the best quarterback in the league. Well, it ain't that way no more. So you add the playoff games in, and now the best quarterback in the league is Patrick Mahomes. He's the best statistical quarterback over Joe Burrow in that same length of time, just adding in the playoff games. So, you got the best quarterback going against the second best quarterback, but a great offense going against an offense that's halfway decent against, and I don't mean halfway. They're good. They got good players. So don't get me wrong. They got good players, but they're also a team that the way they've been winning the games is their +4 net turnover differential. The Kansas City Chiefs, I think, -1 in turnover differential for the season. So they've been given good fortune. They've had short fields. They've gotten turnovers and kicked a field goal with their good kicker and all that stuff. Kansas City's got a good kicker too. And Kansas City's got a better return game than what Cincinnati has. This is in Kansas City. This is not in Cincinnati. This is going to be a place that's very loud. And I get it. Joe Burrow said, "Oh, it's going to remind me of playing back in the SEC where all these places are real." This is a whole different thing. This is not going to be the same. They don't have 110 decibels in college football games. I mean, they have loud noise. It's raucous and it's fun and all that stuff. This is a way different scenario though. So I brought up the totals because there's a couple things here that I think that are important. The number hasn't gotten to 55. 55 is a key number. So I think it's going to stay around 54. So if it does, I think you should play it over 54. I think you should play it over 54 and a half. I don't think that the Bengals are going to be able to keep the Chiefs, but to barely under 40. My score, I told you, I think a couple of days ago, I got Kansas City scoring 38 points in this game. So if Kansas City scores 38 points, then the Bengals are going to have to score 31. And I don't think they're going to quite get that far. I don't think that I think that's going to be a big difference in this game is going to be the defense that Kansas City applies to them, and then what the Bengals are going to have to try to do to keep up. And I don't think they can. It's just they're not scoring that fast unless they get turnovers. So I like that. I like the idea there. And then, we talked about it in the game that the Bengals played against Tennessee. Their defensive tackles they're not very good anymore. That one guy, Okijobu or whatever the hell his name is, his knee broke and he's not going to play. So they're also Hendrickson, the guy that's their big pass rusher from the outside. He got hurt in the last game, got taken out for Tennessee, and then he got put back in, didn't play as well. And if you go back to the game that the Chiefs played them, those two players accounted for 10 quarterback pressures. Neither one of them one of them is not even going to play because he's hurt, and the other one is hurt and he might play hurt. I think this is just a total mismatch. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be all over them. Now, there's one stat that I've heard, and it's one thing that rings in my head that I can't get my arms around. And Cincinnati in 11 straight games. So going back to October, they have not allowed a 300-yard passing game. That's pretty damn good in the NFL. You don't allow somebody 300 yards throwing the football for 11 straight games. But on the other side of that, in the last 7 games, they've allowed 6 teams to rush the ball for over 100 yards. And that doesn't happen any good either. If you do that, that's terrible. So if you're going to allow the Kansas City Chiefs to run the ball for 100 yards, what does that do for the play action pass? That makes it wide open because then they got to step up. The linebackers have to step up. They got to try to stop the run. Then they just throw the ball right over their head. I don't see this game as any other way than this. And I know everybody and their brother is out there going, you got to bet the Bengals. You got to bet the Bengals. You got to bet the Bengals. I can't see it. I don't see it. If I'm oblivious to it or blind to it, but the way I see this game coming out, Cincinnati can't stop the pass rush from the Chiefs. They're going to get behind on the segments because they're going to get stopped here. They're going to get stopped there. They're going to get stopped. They're not going to stop the Chiefs. They're going to go down and score 38 to 40 points. And I don't think that the Bengals are going to be able to keep up. So I think you do it two ways. I think you play this game Chiefs minus the 7, and then I think you play it in a teaser, and you take the total from 54, and you get it down to 48, and then you take the Chiefs -1 on the same teaser.
A lot of points, a lot of opinions right there on what you're stating, the last 5-8 minutes there on the Chiefs and Bengals. I like to use the word amnesia because the public, the degens, and everyone, we're wired to remember what we saw last. I want to go back to the Raider game. And I want to go back to the kickoff after the field goal when the Raider guy steps out of bounds and they get the ball on the 2 instead of the 40. I want to talk about the strip sack on Carr. I want to talk to the fact that the Raiders, after all this nonsense, had 4 swings inside the 10. Well, they spiked it, so they had 3 swings to tie the game and take it to overtime. I want to go back to the game against KC in Cincinnati where Mahomes and company were just slicing and dicing, and they got a big lead. And then, again, Joe and company came back. I want to go and remind everyone that Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times. And I know everyone's praising the Bengals in this regard. How do you get sacked 9 times and win a game? Well, when the other team has 3 or 4 turnovers, that's how you do it. I love everything Joe has done. I love everything about this team. They're a fun team to watch. That Chase touchdown was a 3-yard pass that he turned into a 73-yard touchdown. Reminds me of year 2, Dan Marino getting to the Super Bowl and he never made it back. It really does. And I think that's where Joe is. And I think if you go back to Dan's team there with his weapons, I think Joe has the same type of weapons. Joe has, and you are 100% correct on the Cincinnati defense. It's kind of, I don't even want to say Bill usually puts together a bend don't break. Okay, but you look back to what the Chiefs has done. You talked about the Ingram trade, the Jones trade. They've been putting so much pressure on the quarterbacks. Now I'm concerned on Honey Badger if he's playing, if he's not playing, if he's okay there. But the fact that it's in KC, they've been there. I stated they were a coin flip away from this being potentially their 4th straight Super Bowl. I think Andy Reid gets a huge check mark over the Cincinnati coach. If you want to give McPherson a slight edge over Butker, that's fine. You can do that. McPherson's all right. But Butker's been there. McPherson has not been there. Patty's been there. Kels, Hill have been there. The emergence of McKinnon. CEH is healthy. You know what the sexy play is right now, Scott? I'm hearing a lot from our colleagues. I'm hearing a lot from some other people I've reached out to is the Kansas City team total over. Now, some places get cute and it's 30 and a hook minus 150. Some have given you the 31 and a hook minus 110. Here's a key stat no one's talking about. The Bengals team total is 23 and a half juiced under. So do the math. Right there, if you're taking the 7 and the 23 and a half under, they're telling you 30 to 23. That's the initial number they're giving you. Or even 31-23, which gets you to your 54 number. So I've had so many people. We gave out the 49ers in August and September. So we have some amazing numbers on them to win the NFC and to win the Super Bowl. We gave out the Chiefs plus 400 before the Bengals kicked off to play in Tennessee. So for us, it's simple. We're taking the Rams plus 225 in the bowl. So we got the Rams covered now in the bowl plus 225. We got a 49er ticket we're going to cash if they win the NFC. Plus we got them at 10, 12, 13 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. We have a Chiefs 4 to 1. So people are like, what are we doing with the Bengals? I'm doing nothing. Well, we got to do a Bengals parlay with this. We got to do a Bengals teaser with this, because why am I going to bring another team involved into this? I am firmly comfortable saying the Chiefs win. And I got them at 4-1 to win the Super Bowl. And guess what? I got my ass covered on both ends in the NFC. So if the Bengals were somehow to pick them, the Chiefs off, I got minimum plus 225 with the Rams. I got 10, 11, 12-1 with the 49ers. I can come back because the Bengals are going to be dogs against the Rams or the 49ers. I'm very content. Thank you.
Yeah. What if I tell you this story? So the last time the Chiefs played the Bengals, right? The Bengals made a big comeback, right? I think it was 28-17 at something like that. And then here come the Bengals. So I don't know if people watched that game or know much about that game, but let's just say I got the story right here on the screen in front of me. So let's just say this. The Chiefs, I'm just going to kind of read it here. The Chiefs suffered some unlikely, unsustainable poor luck in the regular season. So, and in the Bengals' defeat, there was an 89-yard kickoff return for a touchdown that would have expanded the Chiefs' lead 35-17 with less than a minute to go in the first half, but a holding penalty negated the score.
Well, that was New York in the NFL saying, hey, guys, they're going to turn this one off. Can you make sure you throw that yellow flag?
Yeah. And then another one erased a first down and forced a punt on the team's 3 second-half possessions. The Chiefs' defense couldn't get off the field. The Bengals converted defensive penalties. They converted a 4th down in their own territory and converted a 3rd and 27. So, are you really telling me that the Bengals are better than the Chiefs? Because they're not.
I talked about this, Scotty. Think about the magnitude here. Think about this magnitude for what it takes the books to get off of a 7 number. In an NFL Sunday where there's only one other game. It's not like there's 13, 14 games there. They don't move it off of 7. There is just no way in holy hell they're going to move it off of 7.
Well, pregame says there's $2.67 million bet on this game. 74% of the money is on the Kansas City Chiefs. And I get it. I'm not going to waver off of that. I'm going to ride right along with it. And everything that I see when I go Google this predictions thing is, okay, this is an upset. I'm going to tell you right now, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to beat the Chiefs, and they're going to beat them, and they're going to beat them. Joe Burrow this, Joe Burrow that, Joe Burrow this, Joe Burrow that. I get all of those things, and he deserves all the accolades that you want to give the guy. He does. He's just outgunned. He's out. I mean, he's taking a pistol to a fight that the other guy's got an Uzi or something. You know, I mean, it's just not the way it's not the same. And then think about what Kansas City did to the Buffalo Bills. And then tell me that the Buffalo Bills defense is worse or better than the Cincinnati Bengals defense. It's not even in question that the Bills defense is way better than the Bengals defense, and they still went up and down the field. So I just think that this in the weather is not going to be any problem. There's not going to be anything to keep the Kansas City Chiefs from having an issue where they got to deal with that. And the other thing that everybody's talking about as well, you know, Kelsey and Hill, they were held in check in that game against the Bengals. Do you really know that Kelsey and Hill didn't play the week before because they were in COVID protocol? This was their first game back from COVID protocol. So I think they've done pretty well since that game. So I just think that this is one of those spots where recency bias, the Joe Burrow thing, they want to root for the underdog. It's all lining up and saying, let's go Bengals, and let's get all behind them and get, and root for that team. And I'm okay, go root for them, but don't put your money there. Root for them all you want, but put your money where the smart money goes, and put it on the teams that are dominant and play good football. And then the last thing that I will say about this game is, I don't think Andy Reid's going to get out coached. I don't think he's going to. I don't think Andy Reid is going to be in a spot where he feels the pressure and make a dumb decision, and that could happen for Cincinnati. So I think there's a lot of reasons here that you want to bet the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think there's a lot of reasons why you don't want to bet on the Bengals. And you can only find a few reasons why you would want to bet on the Bengals, and that's a big problem. So if you had, what do they say that when you're trying to make a decision, when you're trying to buy something, and you put the yeah, I want to buy it over here, and no, I don't want to buy it over here, and then you start charting them down, and then you see the one chart goes way down the line. Well, that the top of that chart says Chiefs. Now, on the other side, it says Bengals, and there ain't very many damn things there that says that the bet on the Bengals.
I'm going to dive into the early college games for anyone listening here and watching us. We've been very successful of late nailing the 12 o'clock moves. And unfortunately, this week, there hasn't been any of those steam moves or one of these sudden injuries where everyone runs to the window and bets against that team, and they've the ones that have cashed. But I'm going to just quickly go over the 12 and the 12:30 starts, maybe help you out. Today's kind of interesting. You're getting a SEC versus Big 12 games, which is kind of interesting. Bunch of those games, but I'm just going to quickly go down the 12s. Rotation number 601, 602, Wichita State at Tulane. A game where Tulane opened up at 1. Wichita State is now 2.5. 50% of the bets, 65% of the money coming in on the Shockers. A Tulane team that got us good the other day against Tulsa. It's a good Tulane team. It really is. I'm hoping to get Sean King on next week from VSiN, and I'd like to talk about his experience going to school there and yada yada yada. But the flips haven't been kind. The flips haven't been kind. As much as I'm a Shocker fan here, I would lean the home dog here, Tulane, getting them plus the 2.5, live dog plus 118, 120, somewhere around 122 there. Rotation number 603, 604, Georgetown at Butler. Butler with a big win earlier this week. Our buddy Lucky, where we had talked about Butler there. A nice little home dog that went out right. I said the Butler did it in the kitchen with the candlestick, and they did. For you young people.
So in that game that you're talking about, pre-game's listing it as Georgetown getting 68% of the money, but the numbers going up on Butler.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm showing 60% of the bets on Butler, 63% of the money here at Wager Talk on Butler as well. Opened at 5.5 and it's 6. Listen, I was at the Georgetown UConn game on Tuesday. Pat's kids play hard. They play real hard. They were down 12 at half, and the only reason they weren't down more is because they hit 8 3-pointers. Second half, they're just outgunned. They're outgunned at every spot here. But with that said, Butler is not the most offensive juggernaut this year either. I keep saying Brad Stevens isn't coaching there. It opened at 5.5. It went to 6. Again, I would lean dog here plus the 6. Personally, I would take a swing there, but you'll know early there as well. Rotation number 605, 606, Miami at Georgia Tech. Miami opened at 2.5, now 3. 71% of the bets, 68% of the money all coming in on Miami. Miami, another one of those teams flying under the radar this year, having a great season. Tech with a nice upset win earlier this week is a home dog. I don't know what you're going to get from Miami today. again, home cooking. I always talk about this, Scotty, on Saturday mornings, especially the early tip-offs. These are kids. These are kids. We don't know what happened on Friday night. Massive keg party, big parties, or were they in the library studying, or were they caught at the tarmac trying to get to the city for, to get ready for the game, and they're stuck, didn't get into the hotel till 3, 4 a.m. I don't know. I don't have that information. So I always tread lightly at noon. And I want everyone to understand that if you're having a bad week, you're having a bad couple of days, you wake up in the morning refreshed, like you got 138 basketball games today. 138. So if you're talking team totals, first half, second halves, under overs, there's 1,000 ways plus to bet the games. I didn't even say in game. So just tread lightly. I would lean Miami here. I think they got more weapons. I know it's a more of a public play. I personally would grab some popcorn and enjoy that game. It's not a strong lean. Georgia Tech has been good to us. I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds us. So again, it'd be more of a popcorn game. But if you put a gun to my head, I think Miami finds a way to win that one. Duke at Louisville, first game since Chris Mack has been let go. The guy's only hitting about 64, 65% of his games in this 3-4 year span there. And they said, you're not doing it, Chris. Plus, there's a lot of allegations behind the scene there. Duke comes in as a 9-point favorite, now down to 6.5. 69% of the bets, 82% of the money coming in on Duke. In my eyes, this is a huge, huge, huge reverse line movement on Louisville. And I will just tell you this, guys, when I've been seeing these, like last night, they're not coming in. They're not coming in. So I would wait till right before tip-off. I'd take Duke -6 and pray. LaSalle Davidson, thanks, but no thanks. Here's the first game in that SEC Big 12 matchup. LSU at TCU. LSU opened at 3, stuck at 3, other than at DraftKings at 2.5. 57% of the bets, 63% of the money, all on LSU. It's a classic line freeze. So again, if you like the home dogs here, they're telling you we're not getting off of the 3. I think LSU gets in there and takes care of business. I think they're just too athletic, too strong, too long here. But again, I lean LSU. But it's a classic line freeze. And at the 12:30 start, I wanted to get this one in. Michigan at Michigan State, 6:13, 6:14 on the rotation. Michigan State opened at 4.5, now down to 4. 64% of the bets, 59% of the money coming in on Michigan State with a reverse line movement. It's a tale of two teams, Juwan Howard and company. This is not the same Michigan team of past. This is not the Fab Five. And it's that time of year usually when Michigan State starts to take care of business. So there is reverse line movement on Michigan. I would tread real light here. You'll know early in this game which Michigan team showed up and which Michigan State team showed up. Great game to watch. I lean State. I do. But I'd be cautious there because if Michigan comes out guns a-blazing, they'll be in this game the whole time. So that's the early report there. We've gone on for 40 minutes. The one thing, Scotty, I want to circle back the wagons on that Kansas City, Cincinnati. I'm not telling everyone to do this because it can bite you in the butt. If you're scared of the 7 and you think Cincinnati is going to be competitive, if you think Kansas City could come in flat, which they could, like they did against Pittsburgh and didn't score the whole first quarter, you could sit and wait and hope Cincinnati got up 7-0. And as soon as they did, you could jump in and get KC -2.5, and you can call it a day. If you didn't want to lay the 7, 7.5, or 8, if it gets there. Again, I'm not telling anyone to do that because, again, if Kansas City gets up 7-0, 10-0, 13-0, 13-3, you're SOL. So, but I do know some people sitting back waiting for that angle as well.
That's not a bad angle. I mean, even if I would think it would be more, Cincinnati maybe kicks a field goal, and then now you don't have to cover 7 if you're Kansas City anymore. So if you bet it in game, you don't have to cover that 7, and they're still going to score 40 points. So it doesn't matter. I would just look at it like, okay, if they get if in 3 games they got 31 drives, they're going to average, well, let's say 10 drives a game, and what Kansas City drives the ball four out of those times they're going to drive the ball 65 yards and score. And then they're going to score on a shorter drive. So there's your 35 points. And if you got one of those drives knocked out, okay, well, the next 9 drives, they're going to score half the time. So that's a way to think about the in-game betting strategies too. I don't know that people really look at the drive numbers and the different things like that on these games, and it's telling, to how do teams get their points. And I think that this Cincinnati Bengals team has been very opportunistic, very fortunate. And, I've heard people talk about that, their schedule hasn't been the greatest in the world, and it hasn't been. But at the same time, you got to play who they put in front of you. They did beat this Chiefs team, but probably shouldn't have. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. Whether you should have won, you shouldn't have lost. It's just like the Chiefs should have lost last week. Okay, well, they didn't lose last week. They won with 13 seconds to go in the game, and they've got the coin flip, went down and scored. So they did what they had to do, and it's just like the Rams. They won last week too after Tampa Bay made that big run and tied the game. So there's no, I guess, real such thing as shoulda, coulda, woulda, all that stuff. You just kind of roll with the flow of what was presented, and then see what's next. But I think I got a pretty good feel for that one.
So what I'm going to do, we're 43 minutes deep here. I'm confident we're going to be able to get a show in tomorrow morning, God willing. What we'll do is we'll start with the 49er Rams game. You can do a quick recap on your thoughts on the Kansas City game. I'll have the college and NFL board ready as well. I'm sorry, college and NHL board ready as well. And we'll take it up from there. If we're not on Sunday morning, obviously I don't have internet power / knock on wood, anything like that. So I think we've covered all the bases so far. We got the early game covered. We'll just need to get the late game covered, and God willing, we'll be able to do that on Sunday. How's that?
Oh, I'm good with it. No issues, no NBA for me today, guys. It's been a tough week, so I'll take a couple of days off. The one game that pissed me off last night, which makes me have a sour taste for it, is the Minnesota Phoenix game, where I was on Minnesota plus the 9. I think it was 9 or 9.5. They lost by 10. Thank God. They just blow me away by 1 point. But they were only behind by 5 with 46 seconds to go. So they go foul, and they take the ball down, they shoot, they miss. The Phoenix gets the rebound, they foul them, they score, they get their free throws, they get the ball back, they shoot, they miss, they foul, they shoot, they miss, they make their free throws. That's what happened, and they got the 5 points and ended up winning by 10. And Minnesota didn't score in those 46 seconds, and they shot the ball 3 times. So that's the NBA.
Well, welcome to my world. I've been going through this for the last month. And again, last night was a perfect example. IPFW controlling the first 30, 31 minutes. Controlling. Now, we got them plus 3, 4, 5, whatever the closing number was. Plus, nice plus 125 on the money line. They scored 2 points the last 11 minutes. 2 points. Now, you and I and my 2 daughters and wife could have scored more than 2 points the last 11 minutes, okay? And then we get, again, the Akron-Toledo game. We're at the line with 3 seconds left. We got them plus 8. They're down 9. Make the first, miss the second. And we get the push. I'm grateful for the push. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful. But the fact is we cannot close out a game. I could talk for another hour in just this past month, how many games we've gotten to the final 30, 40, 50 seconds and just can't close. I said sarcastically yesterday on our show how we closed by default. We had Washington plus 3 against Colorado. We had them plus 126 on the money line. They didn't score for the last 4.5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And they go 8 for 17 from the free throw line. and Colorado had the ball for the tie to go to overtime. And if it went to overtime, we were dead. Or the 3 to win it, and they clanked it. And so by default, we finally closed the game. How's that sound?
Well, look, it's great when you win. It feels a lot better when you lose. I can tell you that. It makes my damn bank account and your bankroll feel a lot better too. So I just thought it would be a good day just to pass today. I don't know if I'm going to pass tomorrow, but I just felt like I'm not. That's, I think, strategy wise. If you're not feeling good about your scenario, you're going to make poor decisions. So what you put into your brain influences what you look at and how you read. So if you're not reading properly and you're being influenced improperly, you're going to see numbers improperly. And then you're going to make decisions and wager your hard-earned money the wrong way. And then you're going to look back on it and go, God damn it, I was just stupid. Well, don't be stupid. Just pass the day, go study up on these football games or whatever, go back and look at baseball history or I don't know, whatever you want to look at. So anything just to appease your time and Jeff's world, hopefully he's got some way to get a fire going and get some roasted marshmallows out there. And, I'm rooting for you.
Much thanks. So today, peeps, I'll be on social media, God willing. Hey, listen, if I lose the power and the internet, I still got my smartphone. Hopefully it stays smart and we're able to goof around on that. We'll be doing a lot of homework, not going anywhere today, tomorrow, probably Monday as well. But just everyone back east here on Cape Cod, Boston, just be safe, stay off the roads. Obviously, let this storm do its thing, then let the workers do their thing. By now you had enough time to get ready for this. It's here and it's going to be here all day, all night. And, we'll get through this together. So anyone wagering today, please always remember this. We want you to wager responsibly. We want you to stay in your lane. And if you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number there. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We want you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. We wish you a blessed day. Have fun with the games today. Stay safe back east, and we'll catch you bright and early tomorrow, God willing, on the Breakfast Bankroll.